What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another tier ranking. What? I haven't actually done Marvel movies before, and I am a huge fan of Marvel movies. I'm a huge fan of Marvel in general. I don't know a whole lot of the comics, but I appreciate a lot of the comics, and so um, that goes pretty far with me. Hold on one second because I am having some power struggles on my computer right this second. There we go. All right, so we're going to be ranking these movies based off of how much I enjoyed them, how much other people enjoyed them, what I think about the characters. Um, I have Legends and didn't watch, which I didn't watch, so there we go. Um, yeah, we'll go ahead and start. I'm going to try to narrow out some of the ones I didn't actually watch. I haven't watched a lot of the older TV shows. Ever since the MCU started producing these six episode series, I have been all on, not missed one, but some of their old stuff like Agent Carter and Jessica Jones and Punisher and all those I have not seen, and I apologize for that in advance. So while I am thinking about it, let's just go ahead and move them all into didn't watch. Um, Defenders. I heard Defenders is actually pretty darn good. Um, Moon Knight, Daredevil. I have seen Daredevil. Uh, where's Shield? Shield is the one I'm looking for. Okay, we'll go ahead and start. So let's go ahead and start, and we'll try to go into some form of order. We'll start with the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. I see two of them, unless that's the third one right there. What is that?
The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man.
Yeah, it might just be better to just go out of order. All right, we're gonna go out of order then. Let's go Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp was a good movie. Could be better. I'm not a big fan of Paul Rudd, and because of that, I don't really care for Ant-Man that much. I think he's funny, but I think he's like Paul Blart Mall Cop type of funny. Like he's to the point that you can't take him seriously sometimes. And the story of Ant Man and the Wasp is really good, and it builds up a lot of the highlights coming with Endgame and Infinity War, and I want to put it in C tier. I really want to put it in D tier, but I'm gonna put it in C tier because I respect it. I'm just not a big fan. Ant Man, I think, is better than this. No, I think it. I like the cast more in the second one, but I probably enjoyed the first movie more. Ant Man was just something we didn't know about. We didn't understand. Superheroes weren't supposed to be weird at this point. Yeah, you had Hulk who turned green, but like this is when it was getting into quantum realms and it was getting really technical. And for a young me, um, it was a little bit too much at times, but the comedy was fun. I took a whole bunch of 10-year-olds to go see it. That was bad on my part because this movie has terrible language. But that being said, that's a pretty darn good movie. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Man, if there was an Avengers list, it would be D. But I have to rank it based off of how much I enjoyed it. And I don't think it's a great Avengers movie, but I think it is a good Marvel movie. That being said, there is some caveat to that. Being a good Marvel movie doesn't mean much. It's just entertaining to watch it. So we'll say that's a B. Um, Avengers Infinity War, S tier. No doubt about it. This really builds up the case for why you have grown to love your characters. To see Tony Stark be vaporized, to see Spider Man being held in Tony's arms, and the hopelessness that came from Infinity War. and then the 5 year blip that comes after it, which really sets up what these characters had to go through on their own. But Infinity War, it's just a phenomenal idea, and I think it turned out amazing. Captain Marvel, I am higher on Captain Marvel than I feel like most people are. I think it's a good movie. Brie Larson is one of those characters that you either love her or you hate her, and I happen to be one of those people that love her. The actual movie itself, it introduces a whole lot of future concepts with Secret Invasion and with the scrolls and all that stuff, but um, it was slightly underwhelming. I think that we all thought that it was going to be this really cool movie about Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, and it tried, it just wasn't there. So I have it in B tier. This is Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think it's an A tier. I'm trying to remember all the details of it. This is Captain America sees Bucky for the first time since he fell off a train in the original Captain America. And there's some emotion to it. There's some heartfelt meaning. We get to meet Sam's character, which I'm not a huge fan of. I like Anthony Mackie with Captain America, but as we get into the spinoff with him, you'll see that I'm not really a big fan of him at all. Captain America: The First Avenger, I think, is also A tier. I like it, Captain America: The First Avenger way more than I like The Winter Soldier. Captain America: The First Avenger really it solidifies the story in history. It gives Tony Stark a backstory with his father, Howard Stark. That it's been hinted at in the first two movies, but this First Avengers Captain America really puts an emphasis on who Howard Stark was, what their relationship was, and then when we get to the original Avengers, we see, because of this story, how Captain America really struggled with Tony Stark because he was completely different than his father. His father was self-sacrificing, loved Captain America. Tony Stark is all about himself, doesn't like Captain America. So for that reason, I think it's A tier. Civil War, it's S tier, and I have it above Infinity War, and you can at me on that. Captain America: Civil War, great story. I think, and here's my caveat to this conversation, is because I think they did Civil War all wrong. I think it should have been more like the comic, but what they did with it was absolutely amazing. Introducing Spider-Man, introducing Black Panther, introducing all these characters in such a loving way. Like, you wanted to know more about Black Panther. You wanted to know more about Spider-Man. This movie built up a cool story featuring Iron Man and Captain America and their battle against each other. And it was epic to see them go blow for blow, and some of the banter with Iron Man wanting to be checked on all of his power as well as all the other superheroes, and Captain America being one to do what is right in the world. This movie really makes you think about which side you would actually choose, and for that reason I think it's S tier. Doctor Strange, on the other hand, is I think it's C tier, and I think Ant-Man and Wasp is probably, man, either they're all C or they're all D. They're in the same category. Doctor Strange is the most boring of the MCU movies. It's not bad, but it's so boring. It's so drawn out. Benedict Cumberbatch is a very serious actor. He plays very serious characters, and to really fall in love with Doctor Strange, it needed a more comedic tone that the MCU is not ready to give. This phase 2, was full of some of the most boring sequels and things like that because they just didn't know what to do with the characters. We find now that they've leaned too much on the comedy, but before they didn't put any comedy, and it was so dry, and Benedict Cumberbatch was so boring in this movie. And for that reason, I think it's C tier. I would put it in D tier, but I'm not. I think I enjoy watching Ant-Man and the Wasp more than... I'm really struggling with those three. I think they all should be D tier. But we'll keep going until I find a movie that I actually think is C tier. Endgame. Endgame is S tier, and it is above Civil War. I don't know how you could have anything else as your number one movie. The top three, we can argue, but it's Endgame. Yet does Endgame do everything right? No. But it's an event. You've been waiting 15 years, 12, 13, I don't know how long it's been, for this series to hit its pinnacle, to hit the moment in which it is no longer a story of this character and that character, but it is a story of defeating the big bad who is introduced as early as Captain America, the original first Avenger. And so I think for all those reasons, it has to be everyone's number ones. Now, if you can look past the event aspect, I think it's an A tier movie at the lowest. If you're paying all these characters, you're doing all this stuff, and the writing is good, it is a good S tier movie. I have it as my number one movie. Shocker. Guardians of the Galaxy, is this volume 2 or volume 1? Just normal Guardians of the Galaxy. This is really what made people fall in love with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I have it in my A tier. I think the characters are well written. I think the problem is some of Star-Lord's backstory got a little daunting. They didn't introduce the right characters early enough. I think if you brought Groot and Rocket Raccoon in earlier, this movie would be S tier for me, because Guardians of the Galaxy is meant to be comedic, right? So in the first scene when Peter Quill is walking in to try to steal, I think also one of the Infinity Stones, if I remember correctly, but maybe I'm wrong. He is dancing. He's dancing and killing, and it's supposed to be funny, yet they don't give the ability to see these funny characters early enough. And so the movie drags out for the first 30 minutes. I tried watching it with my wife. It took everything I had to not just close the movie with her because she was so bored. And I was like, it's a good movie, but when you're trying to introduce somebody, it can be a dragger. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I personally have above Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is much more enjoyable, much more funny. I think Yondu and his storyline is just beautiful. And so, yeah, I have it above Guardians of the Galaxy 1, which I know is going to be controversial, but I don't care. This is Far From Home, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal. This is my least favorite Spider-Man. That being said, it is still Spider-Man. I have it high B. Yeah, here's what I'm doing. Y'all are all going down, and y'all two are C tier. That makes me feel better. I finally have a good B movie. Far From Home is top quality. Dealing with Jake Gyllenhaal, being Peter Parker's friend, and just Peter Parker trying to hide his identity. Jake Gyllenhaal, obviously, at the end, spoiler alert, he releases the information to everybody who is listening that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and it sets up all these things that are to happen in the future. That being said, it can drag a little. Comedy is at the comedy peak of Marvel, in my opinion. This is when comedy was just written well, and so for that reason, I think it's a B tier movie. Hulk, the original Hulk. I have not seen this movie since 2008. Sad truth, I haven't. Um, I assume it was written pretty similar to Iron Man in its seriousness, yet some humor. Uh, but I feel wrong to rank it. I know most people consider it an F tier movie, and honestly, it's probably C or D for me. But I'm going to put it in the didn't watch, even though I did, because I don't feel comfortable ranking that movie. This is Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2. I just watched Iron Man 2 the other day, and Iron Man 2 is one of those movies that if you decided that everything had to make sense, you're going to hate this movie. And movies should make sense, and I get that. But it's a really enjoyable movie to just sit down and watch. It is not as bad as people think. It should not be ranked in everybody's bottom tier. It is a good movie. It's a good movie, and for that reason, I think it is a solid high B tier. I think it's high C tier. I won't put it on Far From Home because there are obviously levels to these things. That being said, I think that is pretty close to where I'd rank it. Iron Man 3. I am in the middle of watching Iron Man 3 with my wife right now. We just finished Avengers and we're watching Iron Man 3. I think Iron Man 3 is a good movie. I think it is a great movie. I think it is high B tier though. Dealing with Pepper Potts and Iron Man and the reaction to Avengers and how things are going to change and all these qualities, and Tony Stark is still the same. This is a Iron Man movie, and you have to realize that because all Iron Man movies are very similar in their writing and their style, because Robert Downey Jr. is one of the easiest people to write a movie about when he is in the right spot. He has his niche. He's gonna live by it. So he's B tier. Original Iron Man, I think is A tier. I am putting it right with the first Avenger. I think they're both great movies. I think Iron Man sets up the Marvel for success. And I think that's the whole reason. Do I enjoy this movie more than Guardians of the Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy 2? No, I don't. But I respect everything it did for the movie industry, for MCU movies, for comic book movies. It is a good movie, and it's written well. It's written like it was made in 2008, and if you judge a movie based off of when it was written, it would be a lot higher. I'm trying to rank it with my feelings as well as when it was written. So for that reason, I think it's high A tier. Wakanda Forever. We're doing Black Panther. Black Panther introduces one of the greatest enemies I think that the Marvel movies have ever introduced. Yes, Thanos was the big baddie. Yes, we wanted to see him die. Yes, he killed half the universe. Killmonger had some of the best motives, talking about sharing the vibranium with the rest of the world, being a people who care. And so what we see from this movie is that T'Challa actually takes what Killmonger says and then uses it. He disagreed with him the whole movie, but he changes his heart. Like, yes, we do have vibranium. Yes, we do have all these things, and we should be sharing it with the world and making it a better place. For that reason, I think it is S tier. I think culturally it should be S tier. Being a mostly all black cast, being one of the original to do that, and especially in the Marvel movie, it gave black boys and girls a hero to look up to, and I think that is just so powerful. And I love Black Panther. T'Challa is was one of the best superheroes. this is high regards. I probably would put it above Infinity War just for all those values. That being said, I'd much rather watch Infinity War than Black Panther. So I have it right below. Spider-Man, uh, Homecoming, the first one with the bird guy. What's his name? What's sad is that they belittled that character. I forget his name still. It'll come to me eventually. To being just a dad, and it helped the storyline, but I hope that it didn't just end there, because there are some crazy stories with the Sinister Six and just the endless amounts of conversation that Peter Parker has with those characters as enemies. And I think this was a great movie to introduce Peter Parker. It is very much on the level of high school. The enemy is the girl you like's dad or whatever the storyline was, and it just felt like a movie that was in itself. I don't think Marvel does a good job of doing that, where every movie has to tell the next movie. Some movies can be standalone movies, and I felt like this was a standalone movie until you take everything out of it after the fact. And I think that's what it should do, right? So, where am I putting it? I think it's with Guardians. When we talk about Iron Man, right? It was obviously made with intentions of future movies, but it didn't push future movies the whole way through. It told a story. It told its story well and gave out elements to push it forward. Same with Captain America. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. What we see now are these movies that have to relay all these future events. I think of Doctor Strange and the madness. What is it called? Multiverse of Madness. It literally spent the whole time setting up all these future characters and character arcs, incursions, and all these things. And so for that reason, I think of Spider-Man Homecoming pretty highly. All right, Thor, the original, just about as bad as all the other ones. I'd much rather watch Doctor Strange than Thor, but not much else. Or everything else. So Thor introduces very boring characters, very boring cast. Jane Foster is introduced, but who cares? The Mighty Thor is in one movie after this, and I feel like that's such a waste to the character. I feel like this movie has no boundaries on anything in the future. Unlike what I was saying with Homecoming, it is very in itself, and for that reason, it is a bad movie because it doesn't set up anything. You don't have to watch it. My wife and I are watching all the way through all the movies, but I am literally choosing movies not for her to watch because I don't want her to be ruined by certain movies, and this is a movie I skipped, as well as the next one, Thor: The Dark World. I'd rather watch Thor: The Dark World than Thor. I believe. I don't know. I like Thor more than Thor: The Dark World. At least it's a story that's well written. Yep. I don't really need to say much about those. Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is easily S tier. It is above Civil War. Thor Ragnarok, unlike all the other movies on S tier, only introduce a couple of characters outside of itself. Well, Black Panther's up there, but Infinity War, Civil War, Endgame, those are movies, those are events. Thor Ragnarok was a movie that was meant to be a movie. It introduces one other character as its side protagonist, and that being Hulk. It builds on characters like what's the Rock dude's name? It's not Grog. Close to that though. It builds on characters. It builds on comedy. You get to see Hulk and Thor interact, which is a big comedy-oriented storyline, their battles, and so I think it was really a good movie. The original Avengers. I just watched the original Avengers. It is very boring until it's not. And then it's really boring because it's not. If that doesn't make sense, the fighting scenes take way too long and there's nothing really to look forward to in them. You just kind of wish they were sped up. And I get it because it's the first Avengers, it's the first one of these. Everybody comes together, and so they're trying to give everybody their showtime and build off backstories in case you didn't watch them. And it's a very boring movie. It is not easily watchable unless you're just folding laundry. Alright. Do I want it in B tier though? I just really threw it there. What was that? Iron Man 3? I think Avengers is better than Iron Man 3. High B tier. All my criticisms weren't deserving of B tier, but it's a good movie, and you gotta understand the time period. WandaVision. These are all gonna be controversial. WandaVision, I think, is a good series. A lot of people hated it. I loved the Americano aspect of it, dealing with I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show, and just building up these subtle hints and these weird stories. And WandaVision is very in itself, like we were saying, but it does build off of some of the future stories as well, just because of the fluid motion. And for that reason, I think very highly of WandaVision. I think it is A tier. I don't think it's good as Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think it is high A tier, or low A tier. Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'll get it eventually. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I love Bucky Barnes, and he is amazing in everything he does. He is not meant to be the part B to a team. His actor is not fluent enough to be truly a second piece, and I recognize that. He is a third or fourth piece to a movie. That being said, Sam is not meant to be the number one piece to this movie. 100% Sam is not a good character. Anthony, whatever his actor's name is not an amazing actor. I think very lowly of this duo. I think some of their interactions are great, but this show has terrible enemies that are doing weird stuff that are not consistent with their philosophies, and for that reason, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is D tier. I'd rather watch it than Doctor Strange. Loki, everyone's high on. I enjoyed Loki. I didn't enjoy Loki enough to put it very high. I thought some of the storyline got a little bit weird. Some of the storyline didn't feel like it had stakes to it. The whole interaction with King the Conqueror was awkward and maniacal, and yeah, it all had something to do with future events, but it really just wasn't it wasn't my type of story. I think it was a good story. I think it's setting up a lot, obviously, with Kang. I'd much rather watch Spider-Man. Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is a story in itself. I respect that. Shang-Chi is a great character. The actor plays Shang-Chi very well. Very comedic, enjoyable, has serious moments. Weird dragon fighting scene right at the end of the movie, considering all the things building up with peace, and you really expected this to be like a taijutsu match of some sorts, and then a huge dragon comes out of this rock, and that's the real enemy, and it's like, I don't know if that should have been the real enemy. That being said, I enjoyed it. How much? right on high B tier. People are gonna hate my list. Black Widow. People don't like Black Widow, the movie. I think it was redundant to have her story come out after she died. Spoiler alert. Um, that being said, I think Black Widow is a decent movie. Gives backstory. I love that. I love her dad. I love her sister. I don't remember the mom at all, but some of those family dynamics were cool to see. Um, gives a lot of story to her, and I think that was really needed because she is just such a strange character. That being said, I think it's probably. I'd rather watch Loki than Black Widow. Alright, what if series? There's a couple good ones and a whole lot of bad ones, and for that reason, I'm out. Of course, you have Doctor Strange becoming evil to save Homegirl from dying. You have the zombie one. There's some good stories, but it's meh. It's very much meh. And I think that's a perfect placement right with Age of Ultron. Hawkeye, I'm not very high on just because it was a boring story. I dreaded getting to the next episode, and it wasn't because Hawkeye was just poorly written. Jeremy Renner's just not a great lead on movies like these. He doesn't bring a lot of spunk. And the girl that played the side character, anyway, yeah, she was amazing. I don't know. I have it somewhere probably C or B tier. Probably around Loki. Eternals. Eternals was weird. Eternals was stupid. Eternals didn't make sense at times. It didn't really help the story at times. It really brought in a whole lot of plot holes with Thanos, and why didn't they step in for that? And the movie is self-aware and asks that question with not a great answer, but that being said, I enjoy Eternals. Yeah, that's I enjoy it more than Loki. This is Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh. Spider-Man No Way Home is beautiful. To bring back Tobey Maguire and the other Spider-Man, I forget his name right offhand. Just a really good story, and everybody in the movies enjoyed it. Everybody was excited. It was a lot of fan service, and I think about this movie as the number one Spider-Man movie. I constantly think about this movie when I think about Spider-Man. I don't have it over Thor Ragnarok. I think it's right there. Spider-Man 3, I believe.
Yep.
Spider-Man 3. Just wanted to make sure. I saw Venom, but I didn't. I never watched the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. So you will not see me rank these. I know people don't like them, but it's all in comparison to how much you like the other ones, I guess. Spider-Man 3, too many villains, has some major problems. That being said, I love Sam Raimi, and I love Tobey Maguire. And for me, it probably ranks above Shang-Chi. I'd probably have it A tier, even though it's probably nowhere near a A tier movie. Spider-Man 2, I shockingly don't remember Spider-Man 2 at all. Spider-Man 1, though, is... I think I enjoy Spider-Man 1 as well over Shang-Chi. I know Spider-Man 2 is a really good movie. I just don't remember it at all. I think Spider-Man's better than Spider-Man 3. I think it's better than most of those. There we go. That's better than that one too. I'm gonna put Spider-Man 2 and didn't watch. I don't feel right ranking it. Venom, the original, not Venom 2. That was a good movie. I enjoy it more than Eternals. I don't think I enjoyed it more than Iron Man 3. I got it right there. Venom 2 didn't watch. Daredevil. Comic book fans love it. I am not a huge comic book person, so not my favorite. Very boring at times. This was before Marvel really was its thing, and for that reason, I understand why people love it. It's as boring as Thor and Thor: The Dark World to me. That is Moon Knight. Moon Knight was one of the best TV shows by far. And so what do I have as highest? WandaVision and A tier. I think Moon Knight's better than WandaVision. I think it's probably somewhere like right here. Moon Knight just has a great story with weird twists, and it gets a little weird at times, just like Loki did, but I enjoy the Mark and the other guy and their interactions and this third character that we don't see until the very end. It's all very interesting to me. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness as I have it as a C tier movie. And the reason why is because Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was Sam Raimi's baby, and he didn't do what any of us expected. He made a horror film out of it that almost at times got way too creepy for Marvel, felt like it was in a different series. I think it was a good movie. I really enjoyed the movie. If it was based off of enjoyment, this would be A tier or B tier. Based off of its similarity to all the other movies and how it fits, it doesn't fit well. And it builds up a lot of characters. You got to see Agent Peggy Carter as Captain America, and yeah, so I think it's C tier. I think it could be redeemed, and I think as future goes on and movies get weirder, we might see it as a B or C tier, or A or B tier movie. As of right now, it's C tier. Miss Marvel, enjoyed Miss Marvel, until around the 4th or 5th episode. I really got tired of Miss Marvel. And the thing with Miss Marvel is that the big reveal wasn't, a secret character. The big reveal was that she mentioned mutants. And I think that is a real indictment on Miss Marvel. She didn't add anything to the story, really. I mean, just mentioning mutants is one thing. If you wanted to highlight that, I could see how, that adds to X-Men and all these other characters. I don't think of that as boosting the show up. I think it is better than Loki, not that much better. I'd rather watch the Eternals. Thor: Love and Thunder. A lot of people hate this movie because it's too funny, and the screaming goat jokes are old, and Thor just doesn't seem like comic book Thor or Greek god Thor or whatever god he is. A Norse god, sorry, not Greek. I think that is okay. I think that Thor is at his peak when he is funny. I think Chris Hemsworth is at his peak when he is able to enjoy his character and be a little weird. Um, I think this is a good movie. I think it is way more watchable than most of this stuff. I'd put it right there. She-Hulk, I feel as though it's slightly unfair to rank. It is doing really well for me. I am very interested, and I think it's because it's only 30-minute episodes. That being said, I am keeping my eye peeled for when it screws up. I am Groot. I've watched 2 of them. They're cute. They're just not me. I'll put it under didn't watch just to save some face on it, but yeah, that's probably where it goes. So, bottom of my list include the Ant-Man movies, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, the Thor movies, the first 2, and Daredevil. S tier is Endgame, Ragnarok, No Way Home, Civil War, Avengers Infinity War, and Black Panther. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I don't feel... If I changed places, it would be a couple here or there, but I don't really think that I need to change places right now. We'll have to see where I get, when I am further along in my YouTube career and more movies have come out. If I change my places, I'm sure this will look like a completely different list, because my opinion really is where I'm at. Am I looking for comedy, or am I looking for seriousness? Right now, comedy is where it's at, and you will see the newer movies outranking a lot of the older movies, or the more silly movies like the Galaxy duo. So that's what I got. So yeah, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. It helps with getting the channel out there, and I appreciate it a lot. But I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's day, guys. Bye, y'all.